Hello and welcome to Circulate by CDA with me, Stuart Aldis. So as you know, in the month of September we're talking about branding. Last week was an introduction to branding. We spoke very quickly about why your brand exists and the values around your brand. Today we're going to talk specifically about the tone of voice and your brand story. Tone of voice and brand story are critical pillars in building your brand and for customers to identify who you are. Once you've identified that target audience we spoke about last time, whether you're identifying your target by age, by location, by gender. Once you've identified that, your tone of voice then needs to reflect who you're talking to as an audience. Is your tone of voice a voice of humour? Is your tone of voice a professional tone of voice? Is it a serious tone of voice? I would imagine that a legal company would have a much more serious voice than perhaps a nightclub or a comedy club that has a very, very different tone of voices. It will be all based on your audience and demographics. So think about who you're talking to and think about the words and the tones that would influence those people to engage with you. Good example here, if you imagine Boohoo, which is an online e-commerce store targeting, young women, compared to Marks and Spencer's, they have very, very different tone of voices. And actually, when they try and promote to the wrong demographic, it goes horribly wrong. We've had in the past Marks and Spencer's trying to make their ladies' fashion younger, competing with that Boohoo market, and it doesn't work because the brand value of Marks and Spencer's is traditionally an older demographic. So it's really important to identify that demographic and then the tone of voice and the style of voice that then influence them. Your brand story needs to emphasize the why you exist. It's an extension of why you exist. We know that building on why influences and builds that loyalty and builds a following. So the brand story has to be an extension of that why. You've got to take your audience on a journey with you to get that engagement and to build that loyalty. And the thing with tone of voice as well, it's so important for consistency. I see so many businesses and their tone of voice on their social media is so different to their tone of voice on their website, and their website then is totally different to their printed material. Or if you talk to the company, your tone of voice needs to bring every one of your assets together, whether it's online or offline, whether it's social media, your website, your printed material, speaking to a person who works for you. They all need to reflect that tone of voice and that brand story. So there's consistency. Far too many times brands have different stories depending on who you talk to. It's so important to get your internal team on the same page as you are with the brand story and the why, etc. If you want any more help about how to bring that tone of voice through and how to build that brand story, then like always, please feel free to get in touch and we'll give you as much help as we can. As we know, September's all about brand and we're covering more parts of the brand next week. But until then, please take care, stay safe, and thanks for watching.